Riot Valley settlement. Okay, next is Riot Valley settlement. It was introduced in Madras and Bombay. Okay, so if you see, Madras is a huge territory. Okay, we have already discussed that 3 presidencies. So in Bengal already permanent settlement is there. So in Madras and Bombay this was introduced. Okay, so you may mistakenly think or believe that permanent settlement is abolished and Riot Valley settlement came into existence. No, both are going together simultaneously. One is going in the eastern part, this is in the central and southern part. Okay, now Mahal Valley settlement, when you learn, that is also going parallelly simultaneously, that is in the northern and western part of India. Okay, so all the 3 are existing simultaneously, except the fact that all are in different regions. Okay, so different regions practice different revenue settlement. That's the point that you need to be very clear with. So Madras, if you look at, it's a big huge territory. It comprises of entire Tamil Nadu and some parts of Kerala, some parts of Karnataka, so some majority of area of South India. Similarly, Bombay comprises of Maharashtra, Gujarat and Sindh also. Okay, so both are huge area. So it was also introduced in central provinces with the capital Nagpur. Okay, so it was also introduced in central provinces with the capital Nagpur. So you can see it was introduced in wide area, but you don't want to know the year because it was introduced in phases. It was first introduced in the year 1805 and then in 1817 and then in 1818 in Bombay region. Okay, so it was actually introduced in phases. Now this question related to this was asked in 2016 prelims. Who introduced? Okay, so who introduced? Thomas Munro and Reed. Okay, so Thomas Munro and Reed introduced this settlement, Riot Valley settlement. The word Riot in Persian means peasant. Okay, so Riot means peasant. Now, what is the system? How was it functioning? It's like this. See, there is no concept of zamindar here. The peasant will pay the tax to a British official whose job is to collect taxes, the collector, okay, and he will pay to the state. So here, peasant came into direct relationship with the state. It is not the zamindar, there is no intermediary. He will pay to the person who's going to collect tax and he will pay to the state. Okay, so the ownership was given to the peasant. That's the most important point here. Now, when we discuss about the impact, that is also most of the important point, because when the ownership is with the peasant, most of the time this land will be taken away by the money lender because he is surrendering the land to get the money. Okay, so we'll come to that. So ownership is given to the peasant and there is no intermediary like zamindars. So the state will appoint the revenue official whose job is to collect the tax and he will collect the tax. Okay, I have already told you where it was introduced. Now, what percentage area? 51% area. So compared to permanent settlement, which was 19% of British India, this was 51% wide area, because entire Madras, Bombay and central provinces with the capital Nagpur, in all these areas, Riot Valley settlement was introduced. Okay, so this was the system, maximum area it incorporated. Now here the point is, unlike permanent settlement where the settlement was permanent, like by fixing the tax on the base of 1790 as the base year, here it is not permanent. That means the government will change maybe after 20 years like that. Okay, so the government will change the tax. Now here if you look at the impact, most important impact is again Mahajans. Okay, so Mahajans started coming to this area more because now the ownership is with the peasant. He can surrender his land and he can get the money. Okay, so money lenders came, people started borrowing money because they need to pay the tax even in case of crop failure. So it led to rural indebtedness. Okay, so you can write rural indebtedness was one of the common problem that you can see in Riot Valley area and and in permanent settlement area also. Okay, in both areas you can see a lot of rural indebtedness and rural landless labors later. And here you can see a lot of instances of transfer of land to the Mahajans. Okay, so this led to transfer of land to Mahajans. And you can see in Deccan region, okay, Deccan region, which comprise of Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, large number of Mahajans came who were basically Marwadis, but they came and settled over here. Okay, so these Marwadis are basically trading communities, but now they have seen this great opportunity in the rural area. They came here, they started lending money to the peasants at very high rate of interest. And finally, these people started grabbing the land, these people started purchasing the land, or if the peasant is not able to pay back the money, they will take away the land. A new socio-political situation emerged in this region during this time. What was that? Originally the land belongs to the insiders, but now in Deccan region most of the outsiders are started grabbing their land. So all the lands were now in the hands of outsiders. And you can see during 1875 to 79 there was a huge unrest which was going on against this situation, and that's what we call as Deccan rights. Okay, we'll be discussing about this in detail after some time when we go in that chronological order. Deccan rights. Okay, so one of the impact of Riot Valley settlement, you can write Deccan rights. Okay, so I hope you understood this thing. It led to rural indebtedness because they started charging a huge rate of interest. Okay, so a lot of instances of transfer of land, so the land became the property of outsiders. Okay, so insiders lost the control over the land, and that led to Deccan rights. Now other impacts, if you look the points which I've discussed in the previous case, the same thing, only taxation is very high. Okay, emergence of money lenders, so rural indebtedness, rural landless labors. Okay, and that led to unemployment, underemployment, disguised unemployment, that led to poverty, deprivation. So all these things you can write there also. Okay, so all these are common problems. Now the next revenue settlement is Mahalwari settlement. Okay, Mahalwari settlement. It was introduced in the western part, okay, western part of India, in the region of Punjab and western UP. Okay, so Punjab and western UP. So if you look at the three settlements, first one was in eastern region, Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, some parts of Tamil Nadu and Banaras. Second was in Madras, Bombay and central provinces. This was in Punjab and western UP. Okay, all the three are going simultaneously. It is not like first one is replaced with the second one is replaced with the third one. No, nothing like that. All the three are going together in different regions, in different forms. Okay, now this was introduced by Holt Mackenzie in the year 1830. Okay, Holt Mackenzie in the year 1830. Now in this, the land revenue is collected by the Mahal. So peasant will pay to the Mahal, Mahal will pay to the state. Mahal is a Punjabi word which means village. Okay, so you will pay to the Panchayat and will pay to the state if in turn. Okay, so this was the system. The entire village was responsible for paying land revenue. Okay, so the entire village or the Panchayat is responsible for collecting or paying the revenue to the state, and this was the responsibility of the local leader called Lambardar, or in some places they are known as Nambardar. So I hope you understood about this. So we have seen the permanent settlement in 19% of India, Riot Valley settlement in 51% of India, Mahalwari settlement in rest of India, that means 30%. Okay, this is covered around 70, so this is in 30%. So permanent settlement was introduced by Lord Cornwallis and John Shore. Then Riot Valley by Thomas Munro and Reed, this one Holt Mackenzie. So 19%, 51%, 30%. We have seen the method also in which they are collecting. First one, permanent settlement, peasant will pay to the zamindar, will pay to the state. Second one, peasant will pay to the revenue official who will pay to the state. Here the peasant will pay to the village and village will pay to the state. So these are the three different settlements. Okay, now here in this case the chances of exploitation is very less because the Panchayat is taking care of that, right? But still the taxation is very high, money lenders is already there, all these common problems are there. So if you look at the problems that we have discussed in permanent settlement, that remains everywhere except two. What were that? Absentee landlordism and chain of intermediaries. Except that two, all the other problems remain same in all three settlements. I hope this is clear for all of you.